Problems in physics were problems that he never worked on and really nobody else ever worked on during his career. And those three problems were time travel, teleportation, and anti-gravity. And it's not that those weren't problems for which a solution would have had an impact. It would have actually changed the world, and it would have given you a reputation that would have lasted centuries, along with your Nobel Prize. But the problem is nobody has a faintest idea how to attack those problems, how to approach those problems, and therefore it's a waste of time sort of working on them. So good problems have the characteristic that they're really important in their impact, and you have some idea how to tackle them. So if we bring this back to the world of APIs, one very common way to think about an API and the purpose of an API is that it's a way that two pieces of software can communicate across the network. I have a client and a server. The client needs to get at data or to invoke actions on the server, and we want the communication to be fast, secure, and easy to program. So it seems like many people come at APIs with that as sort of the problem definition. That's actually not, at least by Hamming's definition, an important problem in our field. That doesn't mean that it's not important. That could be I've worked on many projects where those were, solving that problem was important, but this is actually a solved problem. There are several good technologies for doing this. You just have to pick one if you think that this is what your primary problem is. Here are some different goals that you might have if you're defining an API. And these are important problems in our field, and these are unsolved problems. So one important problem is that software is just basically hard to change. And every enterprise that I've ever worked in, or every enterprise that I've had contact with and worked alongside with, which is a much larger number, has had the problem that they're essentially prisoners of their existing software. You build up, unless you're in the first few months of a startup, you have a legacy of existing software. And it's never what you want. It's never what you want for your business needs. The business scenarios change, the business needs change, and it's never really what you want from a technical point of view either. Once you've done something, you always immediately learn how you could have done it better. And so you're stuck with it, and it's difficult to change. It's difficult to change because it's complicated, and it's difficult to change because in almost all the systems that we have, they're permeated with assumptions. We have difficulty containing the assumptions that we make, whether those are technical assumptions about which databases or which technologies or which implementation languages we use, or whether those are business assumptions about what actually the scenarios are that the system has to support, which is also something that changes. Software is also very hard to integrate, and integration is a huge issue, especially in all of the enterprises that I have worked in. Almost all the enterprises that I've worked with have some kind of initiative to get a 360-degree view of the problem, which is basically how do I integrate all the information that I have about a customer. Or they're trying to integrate the total experience. They have many points of contact with a customer, and they're trying to integrate those things together. Many of you will have traveled here to the conference when you made your booking. That's a big integration app, dealing with hotel reservations, your credit card, your flight reservations and things like that. And when you go back and do your expense report, assuming that you have a reasonably modern sort of expense report tool, which I'm sure most of you have, that's another big integration app. It's integrating your credit card bills. If it's a nice modern application, your flight receipt and your hotel receipt will already be known in your expense report and associated with your trip, that kind of thing. It's all a big kind of integration app. So a huge amount of the development that I see is in fact integration development. We build up these little sort of silos, and then we realize that there's a large amount of value if we can integrate those silos. Software is hard to integrate, often because basic APIs are not available. So it's difficult when you can't get at the data that you want to do, and also because it's an n-squared problem. Every system has its own unique API, so if you're trying to do an integration thing, you get to learn the APIs of all of the systems that you're trying to integrate.